reconnecting.
So when I started reflecting on this title, I felt it was about being embodied. And that's really the context of what I'm going to talk about. And that's also a little bit of an irony, because my whole spiritual journey has been about coming from a place of being utterly disembodied and into a deeper and deeper relationship with myself, which involves my feelings, my thoughts, and all the sensations that make up experience. And I also work with the body, as Bodhidharma says, as a physio and a Rosen therapist. And I knew when I was 11 years old that I wanted to be a physio, and I had no idea what that was. And over the years, I've had quite a number of quite strong experiences that have helped me understand some of my habits and tendencies that take me away from being embodied, such as acting in ways to get approval, to be liked, and acting in ways to avoid the pain of rejection. So being embodied is one thing, staying embodied is quite another. So I want us to bring to mind 2,500 years ago, the Buddha was sitting under the Bodhi tree, on the Vajrasana, the seat or throne of enlightenment, the place where all the Buddhas before him had come to be seated, the seat that represents reality. And he was meditating on this Vajrasana with a purpose. He vowed not to move until he had fulfilled that purpose and gained enlightenment. So he's going deeper into his experience, traversing high states of consciousness, and then just as he was ready, on the brink of enlightenment, the demon Mara appears. So Mara represents all the things we think and feel that hinder us, that trip us up, hold us back, our self-imposed limitations that keep us caged inside, feeling worthless, not up to the job, or what's the point? Mara tries to keep us small and restricted, diminished and bound up, and he goes against what we truly know ourselves to be. He plants the seeds of doubt, and he tries to pull us off the path. Mara is sly, fickle, devious, malevolent, undermining, and sneaky. And he strikes often when we're close to opening up into something new, something we don't understand and maybe can't conceptualise, when we're getting more fully into our experience of state of being. And he strikes in the space of vulnerability, perhaps after we've dared to show something new in ourselves that's still tender, and we doubt the validity of that experience, and in that we diminish our own truth. And his force is strong and relentless. So he's assailing the Buddha in all manner of ways to try and pull him off the Vajrasana, to prevent him from becoming enlightened. So Mara is those, often the doubting thoughts that take us away from our embodied experience and up into our thinking mind. It takes us away from deepening our experience, and it keeps us stuck in our enslaving habits. And it's not just Mara that takes us constantly from embodiment into thinking. This happens all day long, in and out of the formal meditation situation. So we're receiving all sorts of information all the time from our internal world, which may be inner sensations such as warmth, heat, tingling, hunger, images the mind throws up, thoughts. And we're receiving information from external world through our sense organs. So colours, forms, taste, physical contact with objects. And each of these sensations produces a response in us, which is either pleasant, painful, or neutral. And the practice is to simply be aware of this process. But what we do is we either grab hold of the experience and pull it towards us, or we push it away. away, not wanting to engage with them. And in that active push or pull, we often have a little story that joins in. And we like our stories and we get caught in them over and over. We do that because they either help us avoid what's uncomfortable, or they serve to keep us bound to the memory of something that's pleasant. Either way, when the moment comes that we push or pull, that's the moment we move out of embodiment and towards our conceptual thinking mind. So, neurophysiology shows us that our thinking mind, which is, you could say, our conceptual self-awareness, and our embodied self-awareness occur in two different parts of the brain, two different parts of the prefrontal cortex. So when we're thinking, problem solving or planning, we aren't feeling. And when we're feeling, we aren't thinking. And this development occurred for a very good reason. So the brain is linked to the nervous system. And we have a fight or flight system, our sympathetic nervous system, and that's directly connected to an area of the brain called the amygdala, which registers threat. And that's strongly connected to our thinking mind. And then our other system in the nervous system is the parasympathetic system. And that allows things like us to digest our food smoothly, or to keep our blood pressure steady. And that system's strongly connected to a feeling embodied, or to relaxation. So when we feel threatened, our fight or flight system gets activated, our body shuts down those things like digestion, and mobilises all our energy to either fight or flee. And our mind gets busy trying to problem solve a way out of the danger. And when we feel safe, our muscles relax, our blood pressure is back to normal, and we enjoy just being in an experience. So being aware of our personal world and our responses can be challenging for many reasons. Often we are carrying emotional, psychological and even physical scars from things that have happened to us. Things that we didn't have any control over. Things that often occurred in our younger developmental years. And our nervous system is impacted by these things. And it creates, if you like, a blueprint for our future conduct and behaviour. Difficult events may be things like an absent parent, emotional neglect, abuse of some kind. Sometimes it's not that extreme. It can be just a situation that we don't feel safe in, where our threat system gets activated. And when that happens, we feel emotional pain, but we often don't have the tools or the support at that time to process and move through those feelings in a regulated and a balanced way. So instead, these feelings get stuck somewhere very deep inside of us. They get trapped as unconscious energy. And they often manifest as very deeply held tension that we're just oblivious to. But also, that shutting away of the emotions is an amazing survival technique that we have as human beings. But it's from that technique of shutting away that we then develop our habits, our samskaras, our way of surviving. And the samskaras serve to keep us safe and are a means to avoid our deepest discomforts. So, as a personal example, my father died when I was 3. So from this, that's the event that has kind of got locked up. And from this, I have developed survival patterns that avoid me coming close to those feelings of loss that would have been there at that event. And I find it hard to trust people because I fear abandonment. And I have a tendency to be over-responsible because then I think that I'm in control, and ultimately I'm trying to stop people dying. downside of those habits is I miss out on deep, meaningful connections with people, and I waste a lot of energy fighting the law of impermanence. I think there comes a time, as we know, where our habits just cease to serve us any longer. So working with our own tendencies, untangling the ball of habits we have created that originally served to protect us, becomes a working ground of the spiritual life. And our identity with these habits is very strong, and we need to see deeply how we come to work. Unfortunately, meditation gives us a great tool to understand our sensations and feelings, our push and pull tendencies. Sitting on the cushion, giving ourselves time to observe our experience, helps us see the relationship between sensation, feeling and thought, and to see how easily we move out of being into thinking. So we can feel how an unpleasant sensation makes our body contract and how it gives us tension. And we can notice how we habitually move away from this feeling and into the thinking mind. And when we notice, we can start to become interested in what's going on and start to turn towards our experience, softening that tension and letting go. So recently I was on retreat, and I woke up in the night, had a roommate who I love dearly, who was tossing and turning a bit, and every time she moved, her bed creaked. And every time the bed creaked, my body was just like a sea anemone tightening up. And then I could soften and, relax a bit and feel my breath. And then a tiny little creak would happen, and it was like a gunshot going off. That's the response my body was having. And then from that, I was just noticing, I was starting to get a bit irritated. She's keeping me awake, and am I going to be really tired tomorrow? I could just watch this, spot the thoughts, drop back into the experience. And I was fascinated, actually. I was fascinated at this deeply rooted sense of threat that my body carries. And I could feel a lot of kindness towards myself for that. And it's such a habitual way that we shut out our discomfort. Retreat up into the mind, and we put our stories of blame or self-hatred to it. And that may be one of our survival patterns, but the more we shut out the body, the more we retreat into thinking. In fact, there's a quote in Reggie Ray's book. He says, "The intensity of our compulsive thinking is in direct proportion to the extent that we are unwilling to experience our body in a full and direct way." The longer we stay disconnected from our bodies, the more extreme becomes our disembodiment. Perhaps we become physically numb, closed off, and dissociated from parts or all of ourselves. And often we're very unaware that this is occurring. So when I look at a picture of myself, about 6 months after my dad died, I am utterly disembodied, and it's very, very obvious in that picture. So we're also conditioned and schooled to think, not feel, and we can try to work out our emotional pains with our conceptual thinking. This only serves us so far. There comes a time when we have to engage with our bodies more fully and embark on the journey into our physical holdings and tensions. When we turn towards our experience, we are wanting to come closer to those emotions that got locked away in us, so they can become more conscious, and so the energy trapped in them can become available to us, perhaps giving us important insights or understandings. And this takes time. We have to build our resilience, build our capacity to move towards and stay with those emotions that may be frightening, shaming, and often potent. bit by bit, we learn to stay with what's uncomfortable just a little bit longer without feeling overwhelmed or like we're disappearing, drowning or being destroyed in some way. A tight ball in our stomach, tension in our shoulders, a headache, a sore knee, all of these provide calling from the body for attentive awareness. They're an opportunity for deepening connection with ourselves and to keep moving from disembodiment into embodiment. Pema Chodron says, in Vajrayana Buddhism, it is said that wisdom is inherent in emotions. When we struggle against our energy, we reject the source of wisdom. And she says, anger without blame is none other than clear-seeing wisdom. So by gently turning towards our experience with an openness and curiosity, we engage with the aliveness of those sensations and feelings without judgment, without grasping, without pushing away. We can open the door into the wisdom of the body. But it is easy to use meditation as a way to keep our difficult emotions at bay. Even after years of meditating, we can hop over our emotional distress. As we learn to stay with the discomfort, our prefrontal cortex learns to regulate the amygdala, the place where we register threat. So our urge to run away lessens, and the activation of our fight or flight system doesn't happen to the same degree. We literally are learning to rewire our brains. And the importance of practicing kindness and tenderness to ourselves also helps us to feel safer, releasing important chemicals like oxytocin into the system, which further enables us to soften and let go in our minds, our hearts, and in our tissues. Our internal experience of threat lessens, and our capacity to stay embodied grows. We become more resilient, more confident in what we're doing. The way we are working with our habits and tendencies is having a positive effect. Not only can we be with ourselves more fully, we can also start to be with others in their difficulties more easily. As we move closer to the energetic nature of our emotions, we learn what sadness really feels like in the body, where specifically we feel it, what its nature is like. And that's the same for all of our emotions. We start to learn what the landscape of our feeling world is really like. Our anger, our jealousy, our joys. In this way, our experience has more of a flow to it. We're no longer struggling against ourselves. We trust what the body is trying to show us, and we make space for that to reveal itself. We stop trying to be in the control seat. We hand over our authority to the deeper wisdom of our body. So let's go back to the Buddhasana. Buddha's on the edge of enlightenment, and Mara's assailing him with doubt. So Mara asks the Buddha, "What are you doing all alone in the forest, Shramana? What you seek is, in truth, not easy to attain. Burgu, Angiras, and others, after great effort in austerities, did not obtain this supreme dignity. How could you, a mere man, obtain it?" And the Buddha responds to Mara, reasserting his purpose, that he's going to get enlightened no matter what. And Mara starts to get very worried. In fact, Mara's already had a dream about the Buddha becoming enlightened. So he mobilises his whole army into attack. And I'm going to read a passage from the Lalita Vishnu Sutta, which is a Mahayana text, and it's known for its rather grand and elaborate explanations to really put its point across. And in the text, the Buddha is referred to as the Bodhisattva, which is what he was known as before he was enlightened. And the part I'm going to read is where Mara's trying his last attempt to pull the Buddha off the seat of enlightenment. And the Buddha sees the whole thing as an illusion. Frustrated and enraged, Mara draws a sharp dagger from its sheath and says, "Get up quickly, Mara. Do what I say, or I will cut you down like the green stem on a reed." The Bodhisattva replies, "Were the 3,000 worlds filled with demons, each holding swords as large as Meru, they could not even touch even a single hair on my head. They could not harm me. Let them oppose me. They shall remind me of my firm resolve." The demons attack, some throwing mountain tops the colour of flames, some throwing uprooted trees and shafts of copper and iron, some throwing camels and elephants with frightening eyes, snakes and dreadful reptiles with venomous glances, and other demons with heads of oxen. Clouds thunder in the 4 directions, hurtling down tongues of lightning and iron balls. Spears and swords, javelins, sharp axes, and poison arrows pierce the earth and destroy the trees. Demons with hundreds of arms hurl spears. They vomit up serpents and flames. They pull Makras and other monsters out of the sea, and others transformed into Garudas hurl manas. Furiously they throw iron balls as large as Mount Meru, and mountain peaks the colour of flames. Covering the earth, they disturb the land and cause the subterranean waters to overflow. Some fall forward, others backward. They jump to the left and right, crying, "Ah, my son!" Their feet and hands are pitched on backwards, their heads in flames, their eyes emitting sparkling flashes. Seeing the frightful transformations of Mara's army, the pure being recognises them all as a common illusion. And he says, "There's no demons, no army, no beings, there is not even a self." Like the image of the moon in the water, the cycle of the 3 worlds is misleading. There's no I, no man, no woman, and no self. No ear, no nose, likewise no tongue and no body. Substances arise by depending upon each other, free from a creator or one who perceives. They are empty within and empty without. Words of truth, he declares the truth, and all substances are empty. And all the yakshas who had submitted and performed discipline now see garlands of flowers in the hands of those who had weapons. The palm of his right hand is adorned with beautiful membranes, and glossy fingernails the colour of red copper. It is embellished with 1,000-spoked wheel. As brilliant as gold from the rivers of Jambu, he is strengthened by merit and good works, and anointed with dignity and intellect. Extending his arm like a lightning flash into the sky, he says, "The earth is my witness. Formerly I made hundreds and thousands of offerings. There has never been a reason to deny those who ask. Water, fire, and winds are my witnesses. So too are Brahma, Lord of conditioned beings, and the sun and the moon together with the stars. My witnesses are the Buddhas of the 10 directions. My witnesses are my good conduct, my austerity, the venerable branches of awakening. Giving is my witness, as are good conduct and patience. Effort is a witness, and also contemplation and wisdom. 4 immeasurables are these, along with omniscience. All the stages of the Bodhisattva's practice are my witness. Even if one can count the merit, strength, good conduct, the knowledge and the offerings of all beings in the 10 directions, they will not attain in number 100 half of my actions. Bodhisattva touches the earth gently with his hand, and the earth resounds like a vase of bronze. Having heard the sound, Mara is thrown to the ground, and he hears these words: "Strike! Seize the ally of darkness!" Able to